Some people are born into comfort, into warm homes and full tables, and people who tell them the world is theirs. And then there are others. Others who open their eyes for the first time and find nothing waiting for them but struggle. Daniel was one of those others. And for a long time, he believed that where you start is where you end up. He was wrong. But it would take him years to find that out. Daniel grew up in a small town where opportunity felt like something that happened to other people. His father worked 2 jobs and still came home with empty hands. His mother sewed clothes by candlelight long after everyone else had gone to sleep. He watched them. Every single day he watched them pour everything they had into a life that kept giving them nothing back. And he made himself a quiet promise that one day things would be different. He didn't know how. He just knew they had to be. School was its own kind of battlefield. Daniel wore the same shoes for 2 years until his toes pushed through the front. He ate half portions so his younger sister could have enough. Some days he walked 4 miles because there was no money for transport. His classmates noticed. Children always notice. But Daniel had something most of them didn't. He was hungry. Not just for food, but for something more. Something bigger, something he couldn't yet name. There was one night Daniel almost gave up. He was 17. He had just been rejected from a scholarship he had worked months to apply for. He sat outside under a dark sky and thought, maybe they are right. Maybe I should just accept what I have and stop reaching for things that were never meant for my hands. He sat there for a long time, alone with that thought, letting it settle over him like dust. Then his father sat beside him. The old man didn't say much. He never did. He just pulled something from his pocket, a worn folded piece of paper. Daniel opened it. It was a letter his father had written to himself as a young man, full of dreams, full of hope, full of plans that life had Don't you? Daniel folded the paper carefully and put it in his own pocket, and he never sat in that darkness again. What followed were years that were anything but easy. Daniel worked jobs that broke his body. He studied in borrowed light. He failed more times than he succeeded. There were months he went without comfort, without certainty, without anyone telling him he was on the right path. But he kept moving, not because he was fearless, but because he was more afraid of becoming the version of himself that stopped trying than the version that kept failing. Success, when it came, didn't arrive like thunder. It came quietly, like the first light of morning, so gradual you almost miss it. A small business that started in his bedroom, then grew, then kept growing. He hired people from his own town, people who walked the same long roads. He remembered all of it, every single step. And he made sure they didn't have to walk as far as he did. One evening Daniel drove back to his old town. He parked outside the small house he grew up in. It looked smaller than he remembered. He sat there for a long time looking at it, thinking about the boy who once stood at that door wondering if the world had any space for him. He didn't feel victorious. He didn't feel like celebrating. He just felt grateful deeply, quietly, overwhelmingly grateful. For every door that closed, because every single one of them had pointed him to the one that finally opened. Here is what nobody tells you about hardship. It is not trying to destroy you, it is trying to build you. Every moment of lack is teaching you resourcefulness. Every rejection is redirecting you. Every person who doubted you was quietly adding fuel to a fire they didn't even know they were lighting. Your struggle. So if tonight you find yourself with nothing, hold on.